loved them that much until they're headed off to war. And that's when we get behind them and give them all our support. But we sometimes take for granted that they've always been around. Each one of them a hero for defending this sacred ground. They keep us safe and they keep us free. They make this country proud. From one American to another, it's time they heard these words out loud. Thank you for the job you do so well. You risk it all in freedom's name and sometimes go through hell. Thank you for the sacrifices made, for the ones who never came back home. A high price has been paid. It's about time we extend some gratitude. Let me be the first in line to say thank you.
Tee It Up for the Troops is a very special organization because you've got people that need assistance when they come back, as an example, from whether it's Afghanistan or those who have been in Iraq. Many times in the past there was nobody there to greet them, to help them, and those who had physical challenges, there just was not enough help there. Tee It Up for the Troops has made a big change. It's a wonderful organization, some of the greatest volunteers you'll find. For me, as a Marine Corps veteran, it's extremely special because it means people care. They care about these young men and women who volunteer to serve this great country, and they go in times of war wherever they're needed. That's what's happened now. Tee It Up for the Troops, incredible organization.
This ain't no rag, it's a flag, and we don't wear it on our heads. It's a symbol of the land where the good guys live. Are you listening to what I said? You a coward and a fool, and you broke all the rules, and you wounded our American pride. And now we're coming with a gun, and you know you're gonna run, but you can't find no place to hide. We're gonna hunt you down like a mad dog or hound, make you pay for the lives you stole. We're all through talking and the messing around, and now it's time to rock and roll.
My name is MN1 Christopher Nichols, USN. Tee It Up Troops is just it's a great opportunity for a great bunch of folks to get together and help the wounded veterans and soldiers and Marines and the sailors coming back from overseas and who don't have an opportunity to get out and do as many things as they would when prior to going back home.
To become a hero. And that's the way all of us sitting here today, we gotta believe. We gotta believe in our country. We gotta believe in those men and women who are giving their lives, who have given arms and legs to our country. That's who we should be believing in. Those are the ones we should love.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Schaefer, and I'm host and producer of the Veterans Helping Veterans TV series. Today we are in Southern California at the Golden Era Golf Course, and it's really my distinct honor to introduce Fred Brattain, who is the founder of the Disabled Golfers Learning Foundation, the DGLF. Fred, can you tell me a little bit about your personal story and how you started this wonderful organization?
Sure. I was in the service back during Vietnam and was overseas and got hurt very, very badly. One of my most vivid memories of that is being wheeled through the hospital, the Naval Hospital in Subic Bay, and a surgeon walking along, staring at x-rays and patting me on the leg and saying, "Don't worry, kid, I'll probably save your legs." He did a marvelous job. I still have both of them, although I wear knee braces. I'm currently rated as 70% disabled by the VA. And I went through a period of time where I was really kind of down on things and not very, very happy. I had gone from being somebody who was extremely capable of doing whatever I wanted to and feeling very much like a warrior to all of a sudden not being good enough anymore.
And so when you were at that point to where you weren't feeling good enough, I'm sure you were depressed. I'm sure you had a lot of anger issues. How were you able to really figure it out that your recovery was really up to you?
I had a moment in 1985 where I was standing in a bathroom with a pistol in my mouth. And the voice of my very, very best friend from my time in the service, who did not make it back, popped into my head and said, "A lot of good men died making sure you made it home alive, and you will not dishonor their memory by taking your own life." And that turned my life around. In that one moment, I came home. And that's the only way that I can describe it. And I decided at that point that part of my mission in life had to be to give back. It had to be to help other people past that moment. And, you know, one of the things that I talk about with the people that I work with, and a good friend of mine who lost both legs and one arm, and I play golf together when he's in town. He's actually a snowbird, so he's down here now, but not during the wintertime, or during the summer rather. We were chatting about it one day, and Paul looked at me and said, fixing this, you know, fixing the arm, fixing the legs and all of that is the easy part. You have to fix what's up here.
And that really is the key, because
Absolutely.
It is a mindset.
Exactly. And one of the reasons that I love hanging out with people, for instance, at the Challenge Athletes Triathlon down in La Jolla, is these are men and women who the word can't is not in their vocabulary. They don't understand that word, and I don't either. And you know, I'm not nearly as badly hurt as some of the people that I work with and some of the people the foundation works with. But what we're trying to do through the game of golf is we're trying to get people to a point where they can look in the mirror and see something of value looking back at them. And when we take somebody who is physically challenged, or, you know, to use an old expression that we use a lot, has a lot of snakes in their head right now, and we take somebody like that and we go out on a golf course, or we go out on a practice range or a putting green or whatever, and all of a sudden you see this light come on. And when this light comes on, it's like, wow, there's something I can do. And sometimes that's all it takes.
It's the aha moment. Now let me ask you, were you a golfer before you went into the service?
Yes, I played this game since 1958.
Oh, okay.
And what started me on the road towards becoming a certified instructor and developing methods of helping people play without stressing their back, stressing their legs, whatever. In about 2001, because of my knees, my back went out. It took me 12 days to get out of a chair.
Wow.
Anybody who's had lower back pain can relate. You know, it hurt worse than getting shot. So, you know, I mean, it was truly, truly serious. And I was bound and determined I wasn't going to give up the game. So I went on a search and found a very, very fine man by the name of Jack Kirkendall, who taught me how to play without causing any stress on my back or my shoulders or my neck, all of which are kind of messed up. And that was the catalyst for me to start the foundation.
And how was he able to do that with such extreme physical disabilities?
Jack's a physicist first and a golfer second. And one of the things that I use when I'm talking to people, and something that he and I have talked about at length, one of the things that I use is I look at people and say, the average golf score in the United States for men and women has not gone down in 100 years. So maybe there's something wrong with the way we teach the game. And not only that, can you name a professional golfer over the age of 40 who doesn't have a bad back? And the answer is no, you can't. I can show people how to play and never put any strain on their back. I have 3 fully ruptured discs in my lower back, 2 in my neck. I've had 13 knee surgeries. I have a torn right rotator cuff, and I can play 54 holes a day pain-free.
Okay, now that
And I can show you how to do
okay,
it.
now that's what we
That's
want
the point,
to.
exactly,
That's what we
yeah.
want to see.
Yeah, exactly. I can show you how to do it. And it's a matter of applying physics rather than the traditions of the golf swing. We have two other gentlemen on our board of directors who are both disabled vets, and both of them are students of mine, which is kind of cool.
So one of the reasons I was really interested in interviewing you
And
is,
thank you for that. I appreciate it.
we do too, we appreciate what you do for the veterans, truly, is the way you adapt the equipment.
Adaptive equipment is a specialized art. We have a couple of people who help with that quite a bit. I'm not an equipment designer. I'm good at recognizing people's needs and how to help them work around whatever issues they have, and how to promote what they do well and learn to not ignore but work around the things that they can't do well. There's a gentleman by the name of Steve Lowry who does adaptive equipment. I just received in the mail from a gentleman in the Midwest a new adaptive putter for evaluation. And there are all sorts of things going on with that. One of the issues that we have, of course, is in dealing with the United States Golf Association, which is, in a lot of ways, they're a great group and they're the guardians of the game and all of that, but only in the last few years have they started to come around to the idea that there have to be different rules for people who have physical challenges, and that if it's done right, the rules don't destroy the integrity of the game, but it open it up to more people. One of the things our foundation does is provide education for golf facilities.
And you're an instructor.
Yeah, by trade, I'm a teacher. Yeah, and but we have a new program called I Want to Come Play Golf, which is for staff and owners and GMs at golf courses about how you deal with people with disabilities when they show up. And I just got back from the National Golf Course Owners Association meeting in Vegas and talked to a lot of the golf course owners. And almost to a person, they looked at me and said, well, we don't have people with disabilities show up at our golf course. And I looked at them and said, that's because they don't know they're welcome. And the owners, the GMs, the facilities have to reach out to the disabled community and say, yes, we are ADA compliant. We can provide you with whatever assistance you may need, et cetera, et cetera. Please come play golf here. And they don't understand, number one, what a tight-knit community the disabled vets are.
True.
And second, a lot of us have some spare time and some money to spend. And so for the golf course owners, it's a win-win situation. They get to do something that they're going to feel good about, but you can't approach a business person strictly on that basis. So we also approach them on the basis of, this is how much money is available in the disabled community. I mean, the annual income in the 55 or 56 million disabled people in this country is in the trillions of dollars.
And it's not just physical disabilities we're talking about here, because we all know as veterans here, one of the biggest issues facing our veterans is post-traumatic stress disorder and PTSD. There are many ways of coping with that, and through the DGLF.
I'm getting goosebumps right now because I'm remembering the last clinic that we did out at one of the local golf courses here. One of the guys who showed up, physically fine, serious issues with snakes in his head, PTSD.
PTSD is such a huge issue for this generation veteran. Part of the reason for that is because it's multiple deployments. They can't get enough deep sleep, the kind of sleep that you need to really heal yourself.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is that, I've talked to a lot of people who were World War II vets, my dad's generation. And when the whole PTSD thing started to surface from Vietnam, a lot of the World War II vets were having trouble understanding that. And an interesting statistic popped up.
is because they never talked about it. My father was in the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
and he never
Yeah.
talked
But-
about the war.
But it's more than that. And I agree with you 100%. But it's more than that in the sense that the average combat veteran in World War II was in a firefight once every 6 months. The average combat veteran in Vietnam was in a firefight once every 3 days. There was no downtime when people were over there. There was no way to decompress for a sufficient length of time. And remember also, I'm part of that generation. I was walking through the San Francisco airport in uniform on crutches, and some 16 or 17-year-old girl I'd never seen before walked up and spit in my face. It happened a lot.
Yes.
It doesn't make me special, but what it does is motivate me a little bit to understand how people have trouble coming home. And I'm also a songwriter, by the way. And one of the songs that I wrote has a line in that says, "Not all the MIAs are overseas. Some are standing on a corner here." And if we can get people to understand that you fix people's heads and that that's what you have to do first, and golf's a great way to do it.
And so this young
Because
man,
it takes you so far out of yourself.
this young man that you met a while back,
Yeah, we were out on the golf course, and he had, as a fellow disabled vet, it's okay for me to walk up to somebody and say, "What are your issues?" Somebody who hasn't been there really can't get away with that.
that's true.
I can walk up to somebody who's missing a limb, and I'm trying to help them play golf, and I'll look at them and say, "Okay, so what's the problem?" And they'll laugh, and they understand because I've been there. As somebody on the civilian side who doesn't have the been there, done that credentials, that'd probably be a complete turnoff. But anyway, we're out on the golf course, and I'm chatting with this guy, and we're walking down the fairway. And he turns and he looks at me and says, "This is the first time in 3 years I don't have any noises in my head." And I looked at him and I said, "Thank you." He said, "No, thank you." I said, it's what we do. And it's those moments. It's the moments like being at the VA hospital in Loma Linda, and my lady Joni and I were there doing a clinic. And this one guy that I'd helped a little bit was still in a wheelchair. I'd helped him a little bit and got him hitting a few golf balls and stuff. And he goes wheeling over to his wife and says something to her, and Joni's standing there with his wife chatting. He says something to her, and she just completely collapses in tears. And of course, Joni's kind of like, "Oh God, what do I do now?" And this lady turned and looked at Joni and said, "You don't understand." She said, "Yesterday my husband found out he'll never walk again. He found out he will never work again. And last night he started making plans to take his own life." And what this guy had done was rolled over to his wife and looked at her with a big grin on his face and said, "I can do this." We'd saved his life.
Tears of joy.
Oh yeah, we'd saved his. I'm sorry. We'd saved his life, and it's. Yeah, the foundation's new. We struggle financially, all of that good stuff, but nobody could write a check that's big enough to cover that.
That's exactly right. But it's not the money.
No, it isn't.
It's making the positive change.
Yeah.
It's motivating the veterans to realize that they can overcome these extreme disabilities.
Anything. When I was in the service, we had an expression at our training command, which was, "It's not how good you are, how bad do you want it?"
And that's the key. How bad do you want
Exactly. And our job in the foundation is to give people a vehicle which will get them to that place where that expression becomes an innate part of their attitude towards life. And if we can get people to a point where the word can't disappears and the word can takes its place, then we've won.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to win the battle here at home for our veterans.
Yeah, exactly. And I challenge anybody with an ounce of compassion to spend a day at a VA hospital and just walk the halls. And they will come away with an understanding, and this is an expression I use in a lot of the stuff that I deal with. There's no way this country can ever say thank you loud enough. We just can't. And so the foundation's job, our mission, is to be part of that thank you. And, you know, I would love to reach 100,000 people. But I will happily and gratefully reach one person at a time.
Fred, if there's anyone out there in the audience who would like to contact you directly, can you give us your phone number, please?
Yeah, it's 530-400-4675. That's my cell phone. Home phone is 951-739-0615. And our website is www.DisabledGolfer.org.
Thank you for everything you do for our veterans.
Thank you. Much
You're an
appreciated.
inspiration.
Thank you.